My son called. She wants a smaller wedding. We'll keep the wedding, just her family. Could you just send the check, Mom? We'll handle the rest. After I had already written a $25,000 deposit for the grand venue, believing it would unite both our families. So, I freeze all the wedding activities. But when I learned I was being erased from the guest list, I froze every vendor contract. Without me, there would be no wedding. The pen in my hand felt heavier than it should have, as though the weight of that check carried more than just numbers. $25,000. I paused, looking at the blank space where my signature would go. For a moment, I could see the whole picture so clearly. Charleston in the spring, magnolias in bloom, Spanish moss swaying from the oaks, the Gadsden house with its graceful white columns, a garden filled with lanterns and laughter spilling out from polished wooden floors. My Eric standing at the altar, proud and smiling, with his bride beside him. And most of all, my family, 30 strong, filling the room with their warmth and noise. It was not just a payment. It was a promise. A mother's blessing written in ink. As I signed my name, the old ache of widowhood stirred. For 20 years now, I had lived without Richard. I had raised Eric alone, with only faith and determination as my companions. Every success of his, I had claimed like a metal pin to my chest. And now, to see him settled, to see him married in style, it felt like a reward, not just for him, but for me, for all of us, Chandlers. I placed the check neatly into the envelope, smoothing it with a hand that trembled not from weakness, but from joy. This, I whispered to myself, is what family is for. The phone rang just then, slicing through the quiet hum of the house. Eric's name glowed on the screen. My heart lifted. I expected excitement, gratitude, some boyish eagerness that had never quite left his voice, even at 30. But when I answered, the sound that came through was hesitant. Heavy, as if words were stones he could not carry. "Hey, Mom," he began. "Are you busy?" "No, darling. Just finished writing that check. The venue deposit is handled. You'll be so proud when you see the place. It's pure Charleston charm." I let a smile carry through my words. A pause, then a sigh. "About that, Mom, there's something I need to tell you." The stillness of the room grew sharp, as though even the walls leaned forward to hear. "Lauren's been thinking," he continued, his tones strained. "She wants a smaller wedding. We'll keep the wedding, just her family." I sat straighter, not certain I had heard him right. Just her family. Yes. His voice dropped, almost apologetic. "She feels it'll be simpler, less complicated. So, could you just send the check, Mom? We'll handle the rest." The silence that followed was not empty. It was thick. For a moment, my world tilted. My hand still clutched the pen, but my grip loosened until it rolled away across the desk. My mind refused to catch up with my ears. After all the nights I had sat alone, worrying if he had eaten while studying late. After the years I had pinched pennies to make sure his every dream could come true. After all that, now I was being dismissed. Like an employee being let go after decades of service. My son's words replayed in my head, sharp and merciless. Just her family. I swallowed the lump rising in my throat. "Eric, do you understand what you're asking? I won't be there. None of us, your uncles, your cousins, the people who raised you." His sigh deepened. "Mom, please don't make this harder. Lauren feels like it'll keep things drama-free. You know how our family can be loud." I nearly laughed, but it came out bitter. Loud. Our family was love, chaos, arguments, forgiveness, and most of all, home. And now, with a single phone call, it was unwanted. After the call ended, I sat in the quiet of my study, staring at the check. My mind wandered back to Eric's childhood, his 8th birthday when I had spent my entire week's pay on a bicycle, only to eat toast for dinner myself. His college tuition, where I had sold Richard's old watch, his last heirloom, so my boy wouldn't have to take out another loan. The Christmas nights where I worked overtime shifts just so the house wouldn't feel empty under the tree. And now, after all of that, I was too loud. Too much. Expendable. I walked over to the mantel where a photo of Richard still stood, smiling at me in his crisp navy uniform. My hand trembled as I touched the glass frame. "Richard," I whispered, "what did we raise?" Did we fail somewhere? But the silence in the room was the only answer. The next morning, I woke with a heaviness in my chest. But beneath the grief, something new burned, a slow, steady anger. If they thought they could erase me, erase us, while using my money to build their dream wedding, they were mistaken. I called the venue first. Yes, this is Mrs. Chandler. About the Gadsden house contract. By noon, I had called every vendor, the florist, the caterer, the photographer, even the string quartet. Each one heard the same words, freeze everything. I will not authorize another payment. The power in those words tasted like steel on my tongue. By evening, my son called again, panic lacing his voice. Mom, what happened? The venue says the payment is on hold. The florist too. What are you doing? I held the phone steady, my voice calm but cold. You wanted me out of the wedding, Eric. Without me, there is no wedding. His silence spoke volumes. That night, I sat at the kitchen table, the unsigned check still lying there. I ran my fingers across its surface, thinking of how I had almost given away not just money, but dignity. My whole life, I had bent over backward to ensure my son's happiness. But maybe in the process, I had taught him to take without gratitude. To expect, without giving back. And now, as the clock ticked past midnight, I felt the old widow ache harden into something sharper. This was not the end of the story. This was the beginning. If they thought I would stay silent, if they thought they could humiliate me into compliance, they were about to learn a lesson. Because I had not just invested in his life. I had also prepared for a future where I might need to protect myself. And tucked away, deep in my safe, was something Eric and his bride-to-be had no idea existed. Something that could turn their dream into dust. The next morning, the phone rang again, but I let it go unanswered. I knew it was Eric. I could imagine his frustration, his fiancée's anger bubbling in the background. They wanted their dream wedding, funded by me, while cutting me out of it completely. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from the power of holding firm. For once, I wasn't bending. By afternoon, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, Eric stood there, his face flushed with anger and embarrassment. Lauren hovered behind him, arms folded tightly across her chest, eyes sharp with disdain. Mom, what are you doing? Eric snapped. You can't just cancel everything. The wedding is in 3 months. I stepped aside calmly, gesturing for him to come in. He didn't move, so I folded my arms and faced him head-on. Without me, there is no wedding, I repeated slowly. My words were deliberate, each one sinking deep like nails into wood. Lauren finally spoke, her tone dripping with condescension. Look, Mrs. Chandler, we appreciate your generosity, but Eric is starting his own life now. He doesn't need his entire extended family there. It's our day, not yours. Her words should have broken me, but instead, they fueled me. My eyes narrowed as I pulled out a folder from my desk. Inside were all the contracts, each one signed in my name, each one locked until I approved the payments. I placed them on the table between us. Without me, you have nothing, I said again, my voice steady. Eric's eyes flickered between the papers and me, his expression caught between shame and frustration. Mom, please don't do this. You're overreacting. Overreacting. The words stung. For decades, I had sacrificed everything for him, and now, when I asked only for respect and inclusion, he dared call it overreacting. I leaned forward, my voice low but sharp. Eric, I buried your father when you were 10. I worked 2 jobs so you could have shoes on your feet, a roof over your head, and a future. I sold my wedding bangles for your college tuition. And now you stand here, letting her erase me from your life. If you think I'll pay for a wedding I'm not welcome at, you don't know me at all. Lauren scoffed, her face twisting with impatience. Fine. We don't need your money. We'll do it ourselves. I smiled then, a small, cold smile. Good luck. But remember this, Eric. Without me, you'll have no venue, no vendors, no wedding. You have 3 months. They left in silence, slamming the door behind them. For a while, I stood there, my chest heavy, my heart torn. But beneath it all, I felt something stronger than sadness. Pride. For the first time in years, I wasn't just the mother who gave and gave. I was a woman who had finally said no. Weeks passed, and the calls slowed. At first, Eric tried to reason with me. Then came the guilt trips. Then silence. I held firm. Every time I looked at the unsigned check on my desk, I felt a surge of strength. I had spent my life teaching him compassion, sacrifice, loyalty. If he couldn't show those things to me now, then maybe he had to learn the hard way. And then, 1 month before the wedding date, Eric came to me again. This time, he was alone. His face was pale, his eyes red with exhaustion. "Mom," he whispered, "I'm sorry. I was wrong. I should never have let her say those things to you. I should never have agreed. Please help us." Tears burned my eyes, but I didn't move. I studied his face, the boy I once carried in my arms, the man now broken in front of me. "Eric," I said softly, "I don't care about the money. I don't care about the venue. All I ever wanted was respect. All I ever wanted was to be part of your life." He dropped to his knees, his voice cracking. "I know, Mom. Please forgive me." For a long time, I said nothing. The silence pressed between us like a wall. And then, finally, I reached for the contracts, sliding them across the table. But this time, my conditions were clear. If I was not respected, if I was not treated as family, there would be no wedding. The wedding went forward, grander than ever. The family was there, every aunt, uncle, cousin filling the hall with love and noise. When I walked into the venue, heads turned. For the first time in months, Eric stood tall beside me, holding my hand like the little boy who once clung to me on his first day of school. And Lauren, though stiff and reluctant, had no choice but to welcome me. Because in the end, money can build a wedding. But family builds a life. And I wasn't about to let them forget that again. My revenge wasn't in money or power. My revenge was in reminding them that without me, they were nothing. And when the music played, when the vows were said, when laughter filled the room, I smiled. Because I hadn't just saved the wedding. I had saved my place in the family I had built with my own hands.